Hi, my name is Dominica and this is my recipe for a layered penne bake. It's featuring light Philadelphia cream cheese and it's a modern take on a classic Italian dish, lasagna. So just before we start, I'm going to make sure that you have all the ingredients for this recipe. This is 500 grams of white penne pasta. You can always go whole wheat if you want. This is 1 hot Italian sausage and half a pound of ground sirloin. Parsley for finishing, as always. Then we've got half of a yellow pepper, half of a red pepper, and a quarter of a green pepper, just sliced. About a third of a small red onion, sliced. And about 5 cremini mushrooms. About 6 cloves of garlic. 3/4 of a package of light cream cheese. 100 grams of Asiago cheese. For seasonings we have salt, pepper, garlic powder, Italian seasoning. About half a tablespoon of olive oil to start us off, and a 398 millimeter can of tomato sauce. No salt, no spices added. Okay, so what you're going to start with is your tablespoon of olive oil, and you're going to divide it evenly between your 2 pans. What I did just for this video is I prepared the pasta ahead of time, but normally at home you would be doing all 3 at the same time. So you toss your pasta in, get your oil nice and hot. Add our meat to one. So again, half a pound of ground sirloin. And 1 hot Italian sausage. In this pan, we're going to start with our onion. We're just going to let our onion soften for about a minute before we add our peppers. You want to hear that nice sizzle again. That sizzle is a good sign. This one. Multitasking. Okay? After about a minute or so, or when you see your onions getting a bit clear, you're going to add about 3 to 4 tablespoons or 3 to 4 cloves of garlic. And for the minute that you have your garlic on, you're moving it around the whole entire time. There's nothing worse than burnt garlic. It'll absolutely ruin your dish. And once you can smell it, you know it's time to add the rest of your veggies. Going to turn that on medium heat and let that go till everything softens and cooks down. If you notice it's a bit dry, don't be afraid to add a bit more olive oil. We're going to add some seasonings here. So about half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a big garlic pan, half a teaspoon of salt, and flavor. 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. We're going to add a little bit of pepper over here too. 1/4 teaspoon of Italian, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic. And try to use the same seasonings in both parts because we're going to layer them. And because of the spices in the hot Italian sausage, it's going to make your dish a little bit spicy. And then we add the creamy Philly in there, and then it's all going to work nicely together. Make sure you're breaking up your meat before it's cooked, because after it's cooked it's really hard to break it up. I'm going to start the layering process, so I'm going to show you how that works, and before I do that I'm just going to give you some hints. So after the meat was all cooked and browned and ready to go, I put it in a bowl lined with 2 paper towels just to soak up that extra grease, because you don't want to have that in your dish. And this is what our vegetables look like when they cook down. Now we're going to go ahead and start. So what I've done, this is a 2.3 liter casserole dish. I've sprayed it with cooking spray, and I've put it on a baking sheet lined with aluminum foil. The reason is because if this boils over, you're not going to have to clean very much, which is really nice. So it saves you that scrubbing time and that headache that you don't want. We're going to take about 1/3 of our pasta. Use your hands, clean hands, best kitchen tool. Line the bottom, okay, of your dish. And then we're going to spread out our warm, nice veggies all over this layer. Okay, spread them pretty evenly. Give your hands a wipe. And we're going to start to put on our tomato sauce. Remember, no salt, no spices. And because of that, we are going to spice it up. And if you've been noticing, I've been seasoning at every layer of the cooking process. So when I cook my meat, when I make my vegetables, I'm going to layer here because it's really important. Bit of salt, bit of pepper, Italian seasonings, garlic powder, and a little bit of Asiago. About a third. Now we're going to go in, more of our penne, spread it out. On top of this layer, this is where the creaminess comes in. So, it's going to be meat. Spread all of it out. All of it in there. Okay, Philly. It's going to go here. And I've just chunked it up so each part of our bake can have some of that creamy goodness. And another wipe. I'm going to put some Asiago, just a tiny bit because you've got your cream cheese here, and tomato sauce, about a third of it, and then season. Salt, pepper, Italian seasoning, and garlic powder. We use about a tablespoon of each for all 3 layers, so just divide it by 3. Finishing it, some penne, nice thin layer. We're going to put the rest of our tomato sauce. I don't like to put too much sauce because then it's just a goopy mess. Nobody likes that. Again, salt, pepper, Italian seasoning, garlic powder, a bit of Asiago. The rest of it, going really light with that, and just a hint, just for it to brown nice and evenly, we're going to drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil on the top, or you could pat some butter on there, but completely up to you. This is going to go in a 375-degree oven for about 30 minutes, and then you're done. So I've made a little mini version of this dish so you can see how it looks. It's nice and gooey and brown and ready to eat. This is one of those dishes that you should definitely make when you're having a lot of company over because it will feed a lot of people. It's not something they're going to be expecting, but it's something they're going to be raving about forever. So, I'm Dominica and I'm a real woman of Philly.